Good evening, I'm John Carter and welcome to Poland Daily. The Polish lower house have set the budget for 2019. GDP growth stands at 3.8% with the state budget deficit at no more than 28.5 billion zloty, which is 1.7% of the GDP. The bill was passed with a vote of 241 deputies for and 192 against.
The budget voted in by the lower house today is what Poland needs for a stable state structure and enough money for public spending. It is prepared with careful observance of the rules and regulations with regard to European Union and Polish law. It is a budget which covers all government expenses and has important features designed to accelerate growth of certain branches of the Polish economy.
Poland's relations with the United States seem to be improving. The two countries recently announced that they will co-organize a conference about security and stability in the Middle East. Today, the Polish Prime Minister, Mateusz Morawiecki, inaugurated a two-day-long conference concerning cybersecurity, which was organized in tandem with the US. Morawiecki gave the opening speech, mentioning the challenges of the global economy and stressing the importance of cybersecurity. With the prospect of construction of an American military base in Poland, there appears to be a shift in interest by the US from Central to Eastern Europe.
I hope that this conference will transform into a long-term cooperation and consequently will allow the development of Polish and American companies specializing in the broadly understood cybersecurity, cyber defense. I truly believe that our national specialty, that is the information technology, this is really our national treasure, will allow Polish companies taking part in today's conference to expand the scale of their activities in global scale. First, they will become unicorns in their categories and then global players. Of course, our cooperation has a political dimension too. Dan was alluding to this as well. We must defend Poland and the European Union and America against cyber attacks, stealing sensitive data, and also ordinary fake news which poison the lives of societies.
Paweł Adamowicz will be buried this Saturday at St. Mary's Cathedral in Gdansk's Old Town. The mayor of Gdansk was stabbed last Sunday and died from his wounds. The ceremonial funeral has been organised by his family and the mayor's office.
The basilica will be open from 7 a.m. and the remains of the mayor will be there. At noon, the Archbishop of Gdańsk will hold a mass in memory of the tragically deceased Mr. Adamowicz. Ceremonies will start tomorrow. The coffin of Paweł Adamowicz will be exhibited at the European Solidarity Center on Thursday at 5 p.m. Inhabitants of Gdańsk will have all night to pay tribute to the late mayor. The following day at 5 p.m. the funeral procession will take the body to St. Mary's Basilica. There, Paweł Adamowicz's body will be exhibited until midnight. Later on, it will be incinerated. The family and city authorities are asking participants to withhold from purchasing flowers and lights and put the money towards charity, namely the Hospice of Priest Eugeniusz Dudkiewicz or the Great Orchestra of Christmas Charity. Our appeal is, please do not bring flowers and candles, but instead financially support these charities, because these are living memorials of the mayor. As you know, Mr. Mayor cared a lot about these two institutions. In the afternoon, the Chancellery of the Prime Minister confirmed that the head of the cabinet, Mateusz Morawiecki, will take part in the funeral ceremony. President Andrzej Duda declared a day of national mourning for the late Paweł Adamowicz's funeral.
The Polish Parliament, the Sejm, today honoured the memory of Paweł Adamowicz with a minute's silence. Grzegorz Zachetnia, the leader of the Civic Platform Party, also delivered a speech devoted to the tragically deceased mayor of Gdansk. Our reporter Aleksandra Zarzycka oversaw today's proceedings.
The hatred which took your life is not going to destroy all that you had built in your lifetime. Those and similar words were used by Grzegorz Schetyna, the chairman of the Civic Platform Party, in his farewell speech to Mayor Adamowicz. The same honored the memory of Paweł Adamowicz with a minute's silence.
To światło do nieba dotarło do niego także jego dusza.
Paweł, like all of us, you were sending the light to heaven from that stage, and before that light reached the heaven, your soul reached the heaven first. Then he said, this is a heavenly time, a time to share our goodness, and we will remember those moments. I can promise you, Paweł, that all the friends and members of the Civic Platform Party will remember. The hatred which took your life is not going to destroy all that you had built in your lifetime. It's not going to destroy the love for a free Poland. It's not going to destroy your Gdańsk. It's not going to destroy the great orchestra of Christmas charity. All those things you dedicated your life to and gave your life to. Please honor the life of Mayor Adamowicz with a minute's silence.
Proszę o uczczenie minutą ciszy pamięci prezydenta Pawła Adamowicza.
Quite a few comments were made about the absence of some people, in particular Jarosław Kaczyński, the chairman of the Law and Justice Party, and deputy marshals of the same, Beata Mazurek and Ryszard Terlecki. They had entered the plenary session right after the minute of silence. The absence was coincidental, said the spokeswoman of the Law and Justice Party, Beata Mazurek. She said that was just a simple tardiness, and she asked that nobody should look for deeper meaning to this. I'm a bit perplexed with their absence. We know that they were present in the building and could have walked in. I think that such a thing should not have happened, but everyone takes responsibility for their actions. I prefer not to comment. I do not believe that such a thing could have been an intentional action in case of Jarosław Kaczyński or Ryszard Terlecki. I think that they arrived too late on the same premises. I do not believe that Chairman Kaczyński would do it on purpose.
Zachowałby się w taki sposób, że zrobił to celowo.
To był czysty przypadek, że spóźniliśmy się na to.
It was simply coincidence that we were late. Our absence was not intentional. This kind of situations happen, and we all know that many MPs are late to the beginning of the proceedings from time to time, and you all know perfectly well that is the case.
O tym doskonale wiecie.
Despite the assurances of the spokeswoman, Beata Mazurek, some people still interpret the lateness as a political demonstration, whereas those who believe the explanation agreed that this tardy was just unfortunate.
Only 3 months ago, Paweł Adamowicz celebrated election victory for a 5th term as mayor of Gdansk. He beat Jarosław Wałęsa, the son of Lech Wałęsa, supported by the Civic Platform Party, and Kasper Płażyński, who was recommended by the ruling Law and Justice Party. After the cold-blooded murder of Gdansk mayor, Law and Justice have declared that they will not support any candidate during the supplementary elections.
Polish law gives 90 days to organize supplementary elections after the death of a city mayor. His deputies automatically have their term terminated. In case of Gdańsk, the Prime Minister will appoint the city's commissary with the task of administering the town and organizing the next election. Until the election, Gdańsk will be run by the former deputy mayor of Gdańsk, Aleksandra Dulkiewicz. Law and Justice have decided that the party will not endorse any candidate for the post of the mayor of Gdańsk.
Thank you very much for joining us here this evening at Poland Daily. I'm John Carter. Stay tuned after the break for Poland Daily Weather, followed by the business, and that will be followed by Poland Daily Culture, History and Travel.
Good evening, I'm Paulina Otterstein. Welcome to Poland Daily Weather. Tonight will bring us quite a bit of rain, but also high temperatures. In Koszalin we will see 5 degrees, also in Poznań and Wrocław 6 degrees, in Zielona Góra, Szczecin, so very warm 0 degrees. In central Poland and Warsaw 3 degrees in Łódź, and the coolest will be -3 degrees in Białystok and also -2 in Lublin, as well as in Olsztyn with some snow in both places. So now let's check what will happen tomorrow. Tomorrow will be quite warm as well, 6 degrees in Zielona Góra, Poznań, Bydgoszcz, also in Koszalin, as well as in Krakow. 7 degrees will be the maximum tomorrow. In the area of Wrocław, 5 degrees will be seen in Szczecin, as well as in Gdańsk, 4 degrees in Warsaw, Łódź, and the coolest will be 2 degrees in Rzeszów, as well as in Białystok. No sun is expected, at least not much, and it will be quite rainy with some snow as well in Olsztyn, Lublin, as well as in Rzeszów. And now let's check the forecast for the upcoming days. So Friday will bring us quite a bit of sun, but also there will be some snow. 1 degree will be the maximum and 0 will be the minimum. On Saturday, very nice and sunny, especially in the northern parts of Poland, also in the southwest, 0 degrees, and the minimum will be -1. And on Sunday, also nice and sunny, -1 degree in central Poland. The minimum will be -2 in the eastern parts of our country. This is all. Thank you.
Poland Daily Business Edition. Tonight our guest is Łukasz Bugaj of Bosiesa Brokerage. Sir, welcome to the show.
Good evening.
We'll definitely talk about Brexit because what else? The British Parliament rejected the Brexit deal with the European Union, and now we are in limbo and like nobody knows what will happen next. Let us look at the Brexit from the Polish perspective and say how much we can lose when Britain will leave the European Union.
We can lose actually a lot. We can lose both politically and economically. Politically, because Great Britain was the part of, let's say, conservative, more free market part of Europe, and very important part of that campus, let's say, along with probably also Poland, and losing Great Britain will be a setback for this kind of idea, let's say, in European Union.
For those who don't know, we have to say that the European Union is divided roughly around more state-controlled from Brussels or less state-controlled and free market approach. And definitely with Great Britain leaving the United Europe, the tilt is going to be towards the centralized Brussels,
yes, probably
governed country.
But also we have to remember that the most important member of European Union, Germany, is kind of unknown and is also tilting between these two sides. But this is the political spectrum. This is one side of the coin. The another side, and very important, especially in the short term or in the medium term, the political view is very important in the long term and the survival and the future shape of the European Union, while the medium term and short term especially is very important economically. And looking at this landscape, we can also say that Great Britain is important for Polish economy, both directly and indirectly. Directly because Great Britain is it was the second biggest trading partner of Poland. It became the third.
What do we sell to Britain?
We sell a lot of furniture. But goods is just one side. The other side is services, and we do a lot of services in Great Britain, especially transportation. We have like Polish companies are the dominant, let's say, player in the European Union and transportation industry.
In practice, is that the logistics within the United Kingdom, I mean, in England, between the stores of Tesco or whatever, is being provided by Polish companies. The Polish drivers, Polish trucks on Polish plates are riding from point A to point B, carrying goods.
also, but mainly the routes are between countries of the European Union, not within the countries, but it is also part of the transportation and logistics that Polish drivers and Polish companies do. So this is very big industry, and we are the main player in European Union and also in Great Britain. Directly, Great Britain is important. As I said, this is right now the third biggest trading partner. But this is the one side. The other side is that when you look at the whole European Union, the European Union has a trading advantage versus Great Britain, meaning that exports are greater to Great Britain than imports. And this is mainly because of the German economy. German economy is the biggest in European Union and Europe, and it is also a very important trading partner between Great Britain and continental Europe. And Polish economy is directly linked to the German economy. So, as I said at the beginning, it is very important for Polish economy both directly because of our links, direct links between Great Britain and Poland, and indirectly through Germany.
Could you say now, just another, once again flipping the coin, that United Kingdom will benefit from withdrawing from European Union?
Is it a question? Will it benefit?
Yes.
It is. We don't know. We don't know right now. 2 years ago, some people said that it is possible. It is very possible to benefit from withdrawing from the European Union, but the reason was that Great Britain could become like a Singapore economy for European part of the equation in global part of economy. So it will be liberal, very free market economy and free trading partner for most countries, for European countries, and also other economic jurisdiction, especially Americas, both North and South, and also Asia. So looking at through this, let's say, glasses, it is possible that Great Britain could have great advantage over other countries like Singapore had. But looking from today's perspective, I think that it is this view is not relevant right now because what we see, especially in British politics, is that the movement is not more in the free market, more liberal economy, but toward economy that is not that free market. So looking from this point of view, we can say that probably Brexit, especially in the medium term, and we don't know the shape of the Brexit in the short term, if it will be the hard Brexit, the hard way, so withdrawing from the European Union without any previous agreement, then it will be devastating for the both British economy but also Irish economy, because as I said, Poland is linked very much to the German economy, and British economy is linked to the Irish economy. So in the very short time, I would say that the Irish are they have the most to lose in the very short time in case of hard Brexit. Poland and Polish economy is not that far away, unfortunately.
Right. But right now it looks like there will be another several months of negotiations, and the Britons have to decide what to do because they don't know.
Yes, they don't know. What we know right now is that today Premier Theresa May will have confidence vote in Parliament. Probably she will survive this confidence vote, but the clock is ticking, let's say, and the deadline is the end of March, the 29th of March, that the Brexit should happen under the current, let's say, agreements, and probably this Article 50 that says that the deadline is the end of March will be extended into summer probably, and further negotiations probably not.
Maybe they will wait for the. I mean, it could be smart move for Britons to wait till the European election and talk to the new Commission and new European Parliament. After the mood will be changed, because
it is a problem. Yes, we can also look at from this perspective, but it will be a problem for. Let's say for the elections, because you have a country that is leaving the European Union, but you would have to perform the elections in Great Britain.
Right.
But what's the reason if
we're leaving? Yeah,
yes.
Okay, so we will see. The situation is really demanding, so to speak. And,
yes, very demanding, and it is chaos, let's say, right now in Britain. And the Brexiters thought that there would be not chaos, but more free market and regular leaving the European Union. But what we see right now is not benefiting, especially for Great Britain, but also for the European Union.
Right. Łukasz Bugaj, financial analyst of Bosiesa Brokerage, was our guest, and we are still looking at the situation in Britain, in Poland, and waiting what will happen.
Hello, welcome again to Poland Daily Weather. I'm Paulina Otterstein. Tomorrow in Poland we are expecting quite high temperatures, especially in the western parts like Wrocław, Zielona Góra, Poznań. Also Koszalin will see 6 degrees Celsius, Krakow as well. The coolest will be in the area of Rzeszów, 2 degrees, as well as in Białystok. It will be quite rainy and we are expecting not much sun. Some snow will appear as well. And now let's check what will happen in Europe tomorrow. So quite warm as well, 10 degrees in Vienna, Austria, 7 degrees. We will see in Paris 11 degrees, in London 7 in Dublin, and the warmest will be Lisbon, Portugal, with 13 degrees, 15 in Rome, Italy, and a lot of sun. This is all for tonight. Thank you and goodbye.
Today we will introduce you to the fascinating history of Mazowsze costumes. One of the most surprising aspects of Polish folk costumes is their diversity. Mazowsze has prepared stage presentations for 42 of the ethnographic regions in Poland. In a single concert, the audience can see up to 20 of them. The differences in costumes are not only in origin, but also in the richness of ornamentation and the materials used. Mazowsze's success in this case is thanks to Mira Ziemińska-Sygietińska. Her professional experience and intuition for beauty have meant that forgotten and unknown costumes are still met with admiration to this day. Offering unforgettable aesthetic pleasures, they also provide a source of knowledge about the history of Polish clothing.
Kamila, could you tell us if the beautiful outfit you're wearing has a name and what exactly is it?
This is the costume from Nowy Sącz. It's a city on the south of Poland. Every region of Poland has its own costume. This one is has a lot of ornaments. The characteristic is the back thing, which during the dance is difficult to move, and dance includes a lot of spinning. So it's a lot of practice to learn how to spin and not to be bothered by this thing in the back. There's also the shawl. Every costume, every region has different head thing. This one is easy because the hair is covered. Usually we have 2 braids that also are, when we dance, they all move around. So this one, I like the costume because the hair is all together.
And is it comfortable to wear those outfits?
This one is very heavy. Some costumes are a little bit lighter. There are costumes that weigh around 14, 16 kilograms. So during the dance, it's very difficult to move. Also, even the choir, when they stands and sing, is also hard because the weight is heavier and heavier with the next song. And sometimes it happens that the girls just fade away because of the heaviest costume. But it's just the way of practice. If we practice and we are well relaxed, then rested, and so then we can stand and just sing and do our job.
It does look quite heavy, that's true. Could we see the back, which you were talking about? Wow.
Yes.
And is it all handmade?
Yes, most of the costumes are handmade. They are original costumes. 70 years ago, when our company was coming to life, our founders, they were traveling from the village to village and collecting the music, the dances, and the costumes. And Mira Zimińska-Sygietyńska, she was bringing all these costumes here, and she had her workers that were doing exactly the same thing. And most of the costumes, over the 70 years, we still are using them. This is amazing that after so many years and so many concerts, we have a lot of concerts during the year, and every dance we just have a quick change, and still the costumes are in good shape. Of course, we have the ladies who take care of it, and if there is some hole, they sew it back.
And were they all made in Poland?
Yes, they are. The costumes are Polish. This is Polish national outfit. Yeah.
And who designed them in the beginning?
This is how, in the village, when people, this is just their original costumes, how they wear when they celebrate weddings or they celebrate the birth or they have a Christmas. People in the village, they just dress, this is the original costumes they dress in their towns and villages.
And do you wear different costumes when you perform abroad and different ones in Poland, or doesn't it matter?
Every dance has its own costume. So depending on which dance we do on the stage, we change the costume. So for example, if in the first part of the concert I dance 4 dances, then every dance I have to run here, because here in the dressing room, just change very quick and then put the new costume. And it maybe sounds easy, but it's not very easy because we change the shoes, and shoes are also, you have to put it, and then even underwear, that's the thing.
A lot of layers.
A lot of layers, and it's not, every costume doesn't have the same things, so we have to change, and then you change this and this, and every dance also have different shirt, so all to zip up, and it's a lot of time. So sometimes when there is very short change, then the other girls has to help us. And also sometimes you have to change the hair. So sometimes it's very stressful, but it's a lot of fun.
But this one looks very difficult to put on, and it looks like it consumes a lot of time. Are there any sets that are a bit easier to put on?
Maybe the mountain dance, because there are easier shoes and it's not very heavy, but every costume has a lot of layers, and you just have to be careful, because sometimes in a rush you might not zip something well, and then on the stage it can fall down. So you have to be very careful. Even you are rushing, you have to put it well.
And how many in general outfits are there? How many sets do you have?
Mazowsze has about every region of Poland. We have our dance, so it's over 40. So every dance has a different costume, but all of them, I think it's over 1,000 maybe costumes, different costumes.
In general, all the costumes.
But of course, one dance has 8, for example, pieces.
Yes. And do you always wear the same shoes, or?
No, we change the shoes. This is a problem, because even when we're rushing, we have to, for example, change from the red one to black one. And sometimes it can happen that when you're in a rush, you might forget. And then one girl, you have to just remember about everything. But while with the practice, then the changes are easier. In the beginning, when I was here, I was really stressful about changing. But now when you know what to put, and we already have an order of putting, so when we come back from the stage, all the costumes are laying and they're ready. I know which part to take, so it's just very quick. And then I can go back on the stage.
And my last question, how many minutes more or less do you have to change?
Depends on the dance. How long is the dance in between? But I think 3 or 4. 5 minutes is good time if we have 5 minutes, but sometimes it's shorter, so sometimes there are a couple people helping.
Most of Mazowsze's costumes are made by folk artists using traditional techniques characteristic of the given region. The materials used are natural, such as wool, linen, or hemp. The artist's professional skills enable even the Łowicz-style costumes to swirl and dance as if delicate, light netting, even though they can weigh almost 31 pounds or 14 kilograms. During one concert, each artist makes between 7 and 10 costume changes, and they have no more than 3 minutes for changing.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are at the Warsaw Royal Castle, an estate that served as a residence for king and monarchs of Poland for centuries. Follow me and my guests as we unravel the story and history of this amazing place on Poland Daily History. Our guest today is Professor Zofia Kosowska, one of the 2 curators behind the Signs of Freedom exhibition on display in the Royal Castle in Warsaw until March 31st, 2019. The exhibition is dedicated to the Polish struggle for freedom between the years 1914 and 1989. It was not only soldiers and political activists who dedicated their time and hard work in the service of Poland. The country's artists could also be said to have served on the front line, as their work in many ways served the Polish nation. It was also visible in the interwar era, when the artist community tried to help the government to rebuild the Polish state. It was a period of time in which Poland tried to unite the country into one state and one organism. a quite daunting task considering that the Polish lands were made up of territories which had been occupied by three different powers, Germany, Austria, and Russia, for more than 120 years before the First World War. We will talk with Professor Kosowska about the activities of the interwar Polish artists, both in the countryside and in a large metropolis such as Warsaw.
Well, we have the case of the Tatra Mountains, which up until this point were seen as an enclave of national identity during the partition period. And then the city of Zakopane in the Tatra Mountains, which became like the second cultural capital of Poland after Krakow in the south. So there is a wide range of new social political conditions in which the artists start to see all these new areas differently, almost as if in a new light, because the idea of threat to the state or national identity isn't as important anymore, because the political status of the country has changed.
Zmienia się status polityczny państwa, kraju.
So now the aim is to capture the specific features of individual regions, but also the picturesqueness of individual fragments of the landscape. The painting of landscapes develops during this period, which in some respect is a continuation of the so-called young Polish tradition, but also allows for some formal experimenting. A very specific place is the city of Kazimierz Dolny by the Vistula River, which isn't located too far from Warsaw, and that's where an artistic colony forms.
Jest Kazimierz Dolny nad Wisłą, który jest położony stosunkowo niedaleko od Warszawy i tam zaczyna się formować kolonia artystyczna. Kazimierz
Dolny by the Vistula becomes an important artistic center because of its closeness to Warsaw, but also to Krakow. It begins to attract artists from art schools, but also professors, and indeed many students from the Warsaw Academy of Fine Arts spend their summers or even settle.
Spędza tam wakacje, bądź wręcz się osiedla. I takim animatorem tego ruchu, tego zainteresowania Kazimierzem Dolnym nad Wisłą, który jest taką specyficzną enklawą, szczególnie jeśli spojrzymy w perspektywie antropologicznej.
An initiator of this interest in Kazimierz Dolny by the Vistula, which is a specific enclave, particularly if we look at it from an anthropological perspective, because a large Jewish population is settled there, is Professor Tadeusz Pruszkowski, who builds himself a house in Kazimierz Dolny by the Vistula, lives there, and then begins to bring his students there.
Ta chęć utrwalenia w kadrach obrazów, obyczajów.
This is of course thanks to the beautiful landscapes in Kazimierz, but also a will to fix into the frames of paintings the customs and clothing of the so-called others, meaning the Jewish population living in Poland. This is where the professor taught his students, some of whom were Jewish, a respect for other cultures and beliefs.
W gruncie rzeczy większość tych artystów, którzy podróżują po Polsce.
In the end, most of the artists who are traveling around Poland are attracted to the Baltic Sea, which is actually stimulated by a government agenda, because part of the Baltic shoreline returns to Poland during the interwar period, so they have those picturesque beaches, but also the south of Poland, so the industrialized lands, mainly the central industrial region, the big project recently established by Eugeniusz Kwiatkowski, the Minister of Industry and Trade.
Przede wszystkim warszawskiej metropolii.
These are the areas farther away from the Warsaw metropolis, which make up the very multicolored and very diverse picture of Polish provinces, where different national and ethnic minorities coexist fairly well with each other in a relaxed, almost lazy lifestyle, and on the other hand, these big cultural resorts are created out in the countryside.
In the second part of the interview, we will focus on the interwar art scene in the capital city of Warsaw. It was a time in which the city thrived. The city's cafes and restaurants were packed by the members of a quickly developing bohemian art community. As the nation had finally regained independence, nationalism and romantic militarism wasn't as important for the artistic elite in Warsaw as it had been before 1918. They did, however, remain in the service of Poland as they supported the government in its effort to rebuild the state by dedicating themselves to pro-state art. However, with the decline of romantic nationalism, artists were given the possibility to express themselves with greater variation.
W w tym wszystkim ważną rolę odgrywają też środowiska artystyczne, przede wszystkim.
In all of this, the artistic community plays an important role, especially the community of authors and writers. Many of them are bohemian, and they spend a lot of their time in cafes and restaurants. Interestingly, military officers are also prone to take part in the cultural discussion, the most famous of them being General Bolesław Wieniawa-Długoszowski.
Dotychczas w sztuce jak gdyby zakotwiczone były te
New ideas regarding art surface. One could say that the patriotic duty, which had earlier dominated, is weakened. Previously, art had been heavily influenced by the ideology of national liberation since Poland was partitioned by foreign powers. But now, artists were more free to focus on the form of their art and to make up for the decades which had been lost in some sense.
włączają się w te dyskusje.
They were especially inspired by the cosmopolitan spirit in Paris, where new styles of art were being created. Sculptors, painters, and graphic designers start discussing these new ideas, and in the circles associated with the Warsaw Academy of Fine Arts, a new idea of pro-state art is born.
Artystów, na przykład Stowarzyszenia Artystów Polskich Rytm.
Meaning a style of art which supports the process of the Polish state being reborn and strengthening itself. For example, it can often be observed in the paintings by members of the so-called Rhythm, the Association of Polish Artists, that Poland, or rather its components, are portrayed as country of milk and honey. And here the art of painting landscapes becomes increasingly important. You could say that an idea is born to portray Poland as the new Garden of Eden. These are naturally idealistic paintings of Poland, but it also spurs a debate about which things are quintessentially Polish and which are not.
Ale zostało upostaciowane przez niektórych artystów, przede wszystkim przez Zofię Stryjeńską.
This is and was something that is very difficult to define, but it was embodied by some artists such as Zofia Stryjeńska, who was inspired by Polish folklore. From this source, she extracts motifs and ornaments and creates a style of art which is a mix of folklore and fantasy. You would see a lot of colorful clothing or the seasons of the year portrayed in a very colorful way.
Kilka takich panno, które zdobią pawilon Polski na wystawie światowej w Paryżu w 1925 roku i te właśnie panno.
Her paintings showing the seasons of the year are included in the Polish exhibition at the World Fair in Paris in 1925 and win the Grand Prix for Zofia Stryjeńska and for the Polish exhibition. So this is the group of people which stimulates the development of culture and comment on the new reality in Warsaw and Poland. And it does so in a very positive way, even if specific individuals do it in their own ways, since there is not one style of painting, for example, which people are tied to. This diversity of different visions of the art of painting was indeed very vast.
Ta różnorodność wizji malarskich, wizji artystycznych jest w tym środowisku bardzo duża.
Here at the Warsaw Royal Palace, we learned the history and story of Polish democracy and how the parliamentary system came to be. It later on became an influence to Europe and to the whole world. It is not just a story of the castle, but also the story of Warsaw and the story of Poland. That's it for today. See you next time on Poland Daily History.
Hello and welcome to Poland Daily Travel. We're glad to see you again. In this new series, we're going to go behind the scenes in Warsaw. We will be trolling the nooks and crannies of the capital with our guide Wojtek Młatkowski from, wait for it, Behind the Scenes Warsaw. That's the name of his company, which provides entertaining and informative tours of the big pierogi, Warsaw, beautiful downtown Warsaw. In fact, all of Warsaw. He keeps an eye out for things you simply would not notice without his expert guidance. So sit right back and we will tell you a tale, starting with Plac Zamkowy, or Castle Square in the Old Town. We will then head to the far side of the ancient city, behind the castle, and then over to the Warsaw City Museum to examine ancient foundations. We'll take you for a spin in the revered Żuk van, a motor vehicle so fabulous they named it Beetle, or they named it after a beetle anyway. Yeah. The Żuk rules, as you will see. It pulls the piece together like Lebowski's rug. Yes, there's nothing like cruising the main drag in a crypto-communist car. So stay tuned for the Żuk. We'll make stops in Platz Konstytucji, that's Constitution Square. And we'll go over to the waterworks at Filtrowa, where mystery abounds. So it's adventure and travel talk, as always, in store for you, because we love you, on Poland Daily Travel, behind the scenes in Warsaw. Stick with us. Come along for the ride.
Hi, we're here in the Old Town. The Column Zygmunt is behind me. This is a fantastic place to start a show about behind the scenes Warsaw. Now, I have a surprise in store for you, because it's not just me. I'm not just here to talk to you this time. I've got Wojtek, who's an expert in all these things that I have no idea about in Warsaw. Behind the scenes Warsaw guide.
Yes, welcome. You're welcome.
Hi,
here.
Wojtek.
Hi,
Good
nice to meet you
yeah.
in this city here.
We got a lot of things in store today. We're going to have a lot of surprises, I guess, but why don't you tell us a little bit about the background of your tour and why this is important.
Why is this place so important?
Yeah.
We have met in a place in which you can see a lot of first things in Warsaw, and in a place that is absolutely central for how we understand the town, for how we look at this town. And everywhere we look around us, we see things that have come up in Warsaw and that are, in a way, special, you know? Like the most special thing that we immediately do see are the columns, or one column that is standing over there, the Sigismund column, and its previous versions over here.
Wait, these are the previous versions.
Previous versions
of the column back here.
Exactly. We have had such a troubled history, and such a good history from time to time, you know.
And Poland was once a great empire in Europe, and
well, 1 million square kilometers.
Only the bad history of the last 200 years.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. This refers to a quite good part of Polish history.
Yeah.
Building of this enormous royal castle that is here.
Because the castle's right here, over on our left. Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
And building of this church. That also comes back to quite good times. Putting up the column, that's a quite good time.
Yeah, when was the column put up?
Poland.
What's the story of the column, and why is it so significant?
The very first column was put up in 1644. And it was cut out from a big piece of special type of marble. It's not exactly marble, but it was transported from more than 200 kilometers away from here. That was a quite big undertaking. Local guys were so proud that they have put the date of the moment they cut out the stone in the quarry, in its wall, and you can still see it 200 kilometers away from Warsaw. The rivers nearby were too shallow to float it, to raft it to Warsaw. So these guys, they had to drag it for 60 kilometers by oxes. Not even by horses, they wouldn't do it. By oxes, yes?
Horses said no, they had to use an ox.
They had to use an ox, you know, it's just stronger. And so these guys, they brought it to Warsaw, they put it up in 1643, and they made a small mistake, yes? They just...
What was the mistake?
The mistake was to put it on a fundament of bricks. Yes, standard.
A foundation
normal,
of bricks.
A foundation of bricks.
Right.
That was good for the first 100 years. And then after more than 100 years, it started to disperse a little bit under that enormous pressure of the column. And then...
So the bricks started to separate.
To
That's
separate,
what happened.
To go out, and in a certain moment of time, they have seen that red liquid is leaking out from underneath the column. And that was a clear sign for them to exchange the base of the column.
What was the red liquid?
It was just pulverized brick.
Pulverized brick, yeah? And then when it was
that
wet,
came out as clay
it came flowing out.
It kept flowing out, so guys felt it's not okay to keep it like that because it will break down.
But who is Sigismund?
Oh, that's the guy who has put the capital into here.
Okay.
Still unofficially, but yes, it's a great thing to do. And he just moved his court from Kraków to Warszawa. That's how the name is pronounced in Polish.
Okay,
isn't it?
Yes.
And then The parliament.
Warszawa is Warsaw. Yeah.
It's Warsaw, yes.
Yeah.
It has, the parliament has given him some money to create a castle here, but it was parliament's money and it was taxpayers' money, so therefore they had to be very conscious with it. More conscious than we think today. So just take a look at those windows over there in this castle. They don't fit,
Yeah.
yes? The lower part does not fit the upper part. The first floor does not match the second floor. That's okay. It was simply because they had 6 buildings, at least 6 buildings, to put under one roof, and they were really conscious of not spending too much money, so they kept the windows right in those positions in which they were. Yes?
Well,
And
we'll
above-
show some pictures of the people because the royal castle, the wall is very high right here. It's about 20 meters high, running up to the top. And all along here, right to the side of us, we'll show you some pictures of that in
And you
just a
can
bit.
see-
What's next for us? What are we going to do now?
Well, now we will take a look. The mid part that was constructed in 1888, that's a pretty easy number to remember, was shot down in World War II. And we can still see it over here.
Okay.
That's the part with 200, at least 200 bullet holes.
Well, it's back over here.
That's here, this one.
Oh, this is this.
This is this.
So
these
here,
are those hundreds of bullet holes from World War II in here.
these are bullet holes.
Yep.
All along here from World War II.
Yes.
And where was this standing at the time?
Exactly nearby or very much the same place like today's column. The
Okay.
column today is moved by a little bit, a couple of meters while being reconstructed after World War II. And the king is also, you know, moved from where he was facing to the main street, you know. But this is a minor change. The lower part and the very upper part and the king himself, they remain the same since 1644 and from this version of 1888, yes?
Good.
So this is
Okay.
exactly, and this big hit here, you know? Take a look at this. That's from the shell that has hit the column in
so
World War II to
here,
shoot it down.
this part, stand over here. This part was knocked off by a shell. Yeah.
It was hit by a big shell, by a big gun shell from a tank, you know.
Okay, let's go up. Let's go up to and let's get closer to the column. Okay, come on.
Let's go there.
Yeah.